there, it's Tanya from Azteco. Now, there is a time and place for strategic thought leadership. However, in this video series, we would like to celebrate action leadership. The people who are demonstrating Bitcoin consumer adoption by making it simpler and easier to use. And so I am delighted to welcome here today Kgothatso, the catalyst of Machankura. Kgothatso, thank you for joining us.
Hello, Tanya. Thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate that. So can you please share with us, what is your background and who are you?
So yeah, I'm a computer science graduate from the University of Pretoria. I used to write poetry. I used to rap, and yeah, then I kind of quit rap to do computer science. But then I did poetry because I needed creative outlet, and yeah, now I'm just using software dev as my primary creative outlet.
Can you please share us simply what is Machankura?
Cool. So Machankura is a service that allows a person without an internet connected device, or gives the person without an internet connected device the ability to send and receive Bitcoin. Right? And we are primarily doing it via USSD service in 6 to 7 countries right now. And yeah, but we also look at other ways that you could actually give a person without an internet connected device the ability to send and receive Bitcoin, because internet connections or internet connectivity is different depending on whether or not you have net neutrality in the country that you live in or not.
Very interesting. And can you please explain how someone can send Bitcoin using their phone number then?
Yeah, so with regards to how we do it, it's pretty much a custodial Lightning service. Right. So once you create an account with the service, you get a Lightning address, which is your phone number at 833.mobi. So then effectively any wallet that has Lightning address functionality can then send sats to that address. And from your phone as well, you could send sats to any other Lightning address. Right? So yeah, effectively what made the project work is the existence of the Lightning address, which is a human readable and human writable identifier for where to send Bitcoin. Right? And unlike a Lightning invoice or a Bitcoin address, a Lightning address is not a random string of characters. Right? So yeah.
So following this line, how can someone send Bitcoin without an internet connection?
So for us, the minimum you need is a cellular connection, right? So you would effectively dial the USSD code for whichever country you are in. South Africa being the *134 *7714 hash. But if you're in a country like Ghana, that code would be *920 *8333 hash. And effectively from there, you're presented with a chat interface. Is a fully text-based chat interface, so see it as a prompt and response thing. Right? Everything is limited to 160 characters, and you have to give a response within 20 seconds, or your session ends. Right? So this is then the difference between USSD and the normal SMS interface, because an SMS interface, yes, it's 160 character limit, but then you can kind of send a bigger message in batches. Right? So in 160 character batches, you can send a bigger SMS. USSD currently doesn't allow you that, or our implementation of it doesn't allow you that. And the 20-second session timeout is effectively how you know that the session has ended, right? Because ultimately a person could keep connected to the service indefinitely. And it also, the 20-second session timeout is how you pay to use the service, right? So within those 20 seconds, you can send as many messages back and forth. And as soon as you roll over into the next 20 seconds, that's when you're charged again. So with USSD, you are charged on time. And yeah, so every 20 seconds, someone has to pay. So it's either the user or the service. So what we are doing is paying the 20 seconds on behalf of the user. So you could access the service even without airtime. So ultimately it works almost similar to any other USSD service that a person would be accustomed to.
What type of wallet is Machankura?
Yeah, so I usually tell people that Machankura is just like Wallet of Satoshi, just with a USSD interface instead of an app, right? So most of the things you can do with Wallet of Satoshi, you can do with Machankura as well. You can receive on-chain funds, you can send on-chain funds, you can, send to a Lightning invoice, so on and so forth. But then our focus is primarily on those things you would need to do without a copy and paste functionality. So yeah, the fact that you can send on chain is not why we are doing this. And yeah, so you could see it as a any other Lightning custodial wallet.
And can you go ahead and share with us one of your favorite Bitcoin consumer adoption stories? A personal experience maybe would be lovely.
Yeah, so effectively, well, it's has to do with Azteco, of course, and the first time that Azteco actually became available in South Africa. So yeah, I just went down to the corner store where I grew up, and I bought some vouchers, and then I redeemed them for Bitcoin. Right, but what ultimately became the thing for me was that okay, I would go to the store, maybe buy a loaf of bread, and instead of getting change, I'll just ask the shopkeeper to give me the equivalent of the change with a voucher, and then redeem that voucher for Bitcoin, right? So yeah, for me that was one of the best experiences I've ever had redeeming Bitcoin, or well, you acquiring Bitcoin for that matter.
And as someone who is living in South Africa, can you please share with us, how is Bitcoin helping the unbanked in Africa?
Yeah, so honestly, it's helping in a lot of different ways depending on how you want to look at it, and some of the ways are still being discovered, right? The primary way is, of course, not well, 50% of the African population does not have an identity document or a government recognized identity document. So technically, that means 50% of the African population cannot open a normal bank account since they don't have all the required KYC documents. And yeah, so Bitcoin and any Bitcoin wallet that such a person would want to use basically allows them to participate in economic transactions in ways that they may have never imagined before, not just locally but internationally. Like imagine a person without a identity document being able to send and receive value in whatever way they prefer. And yeah, I think from an entrepreneurial standpoint as well, we are starting to see more and more entrepreneurs embrace Bitcoin because a lot of African countries have capital controls that really make it hard if you are entrepreneur. Even if it's not capital controls, in some cases, like in the case of South Africa, we have been placed on the grey list. So if you are trying to transact with a bank, the amount of forms you have to fill out is just way too much for something that you used to be able to easily do on your app, like what, a year or two ago. Now you have to go to the bank, fill out a form, give them a reason for why you're doing the transaction, so on and so forth. And that is really bad for entrepreneurs, right? That is really bad for people who are running a small business because time is a very precious resource, and having to waste it in a 20-minute queue, well, it's longer than 20 minutes because your whole morning is then shifted to the fact that you need to go to the bank. So I think we are seeing more and more people actually also embrace Bitcoin and try to use Bitcoin in their day-to-day business activities. And yeah, countries like Nigeria, their Bitcoin volume, most of it has to do with OTC trades and people actually using Bitcoin for import and export purposes. So yeah, I'm hoping we get to see more and more entrepreneurs actually use Bitcoin and embrace Bitcoin because it will literally lead to very interesting results.
That's beautiful. And I really appreciate you sharing all of this perspective. I think a lot of the people will find this very insightful. And
Mhm.
following this line, how does Machankura help bring dignity back to the people in Africa through Bitcoin?
Yeah. Well, That's a weird thing. It's like primarily a lot of people see Bitcoin as, yes, this open, permissionless technology, but at the same time, not a lot of people see active Bitcoin companies in the space, and well, active African Bitcoin companies in the space. So from what I've seen, from the feedback I've gotten from people, a lot of people really feel like the service is speaking to them. The service is built in such a way that they could relate to, because USSD has been a technology that a lot of people have gotten accustomed to using in African countries, right? And yeah, so then them getting the option to use Bitcoin over USSD, they're like, okay, cool. This Bitcoin thing maybe is able to deliver on all the things that people are saying that it can deliver on, right? And yeah, for me, it's just that promise of, well, this is an open permissionless network that you can build literally anything that you want. So yeah, I hope to see more and more people actually look at what we are doing at Machankura and say, okay, cool. If those guys can do what they're doing, maybe we could build something else on top of Bitcoin and actually um, cater for the needs that we met with in the countries that we're in.
So, what are the biggest challenges for consumer adoption in your perspective for 2024?
Yeah, 2024, right? So a few things. I usually say people that, or I'll tell people that at sometimes getting a person to buy Bitcoin is almost like um, trying to sell a gun to a person that believes that the spear is the best weapon in the world. Right? So yeah, the merits of the gun over the spear are, well documented. If you're in a fight, um, and you had to choose one of the two, most likely you should take the gun. And yeah, but I feel as if a lot of people it has not registered yet that, oh, actually, if I'm given an option between a gun and a spear, I should take the gun and disregard all the cultural significance of the spear. And yeah, so I feel that is one of the biggest things that we're going to be faced with in the year 2024. And if we figure out how to get over that hurdle, we're gonna really unlock a lot of new users and new people that initially had Bitcoin on their mind but hadn't really thought about using it. And now that, okay, they've gotten over that hurdle, they're gonna be like, okay, no, I'm gonna use Bitcoin on a daily basis.
And do you have any additional comments that you would like to share with us today?
Yeah, well, I'd just like to say, Azteco is by far the most forward-thinking Bitcoin company in the world. Probably 10 years ahead of all the competition, and yeah, I hope to see you guys doing way more stuff as well, because even in the short time that I've been building on top of Bitcoin, I've literally used Azteco as a reference. Well, all the great people at Azteco as well, Akin, Paul, Tom, yourself, well, as of recently. And yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. There's a lot of stuff that the company Azteco has gotten right years ago or even decades ago. So why is it that normal people or other builders in the space have not gotten these things right? Primarily, even if you just look at an exchange and you look at how a normal person interfaces with an exchange, right? Exchanges are literally not how normal people use services, right? And normal people are also not in the trading mindset. So if you are onboarding a person onto Bitcoin and the thing you're sending them to is an exchange, you are really not doing what you should be doing. And I think even since the early days, one of the statements I've heard from Bution was that a person acquiring Bitcoin should be as easy as them loading airtime or phone credits on their phone, right? So the 16-digit voucher code is literally that. And yeah, even on our side with the USSD interface, that is literally the type of feeling a person gets whenever they redeem a Azteco voucher over USSD. So yeah, I really, really hope to see you guys continue on the path that you've set. And yeah, I'm seeing a lot of other companies follow suit as well. So that is, good. And yeah, but these. I don't think a lot of these companies have the ideology that makes Azteco as strong as it is today. So yeah, I hope to see some of that.
Thank you. Appreciate your kind words. And thank you for your time. It was lovely to have you and wishing you all the best to you and Machankura.
Thank you very much, Tanya.